gents, so winter is upon us. It's finally the end of a beautiful summer and it's about to become very cold and wet and miserable in old London. So thus we've been receiving a lot of comments via the website and the blog on sturdy, warm winter boots. Right? We've covered boots in previous winter blogs, and most of the questions have been directed at whether these boots are still cool. As you can see on the screen now, yes, they are cool, right? The schoolboy vintage style messed up a little bit, that whole All Saints thing going on there, it's still cool, they're very acceptable, so you can still rock them. What you don't want to be doing is doing the whole style, as you can see now, with your jeans tucked into the boots, the laces all open, you know, that kind of rock and roll thing, which is totally played out. I mean, that shirt is like totally over, dude, don't do that, y'all. It's gone. Alright, so no, yeah, just being serious though, yeah, that's over, don't do that one. The boots are cool, but that style isn't. So in today's vlog, right, we're just going to hit the Westfield shopping centre and we're going to go and look at a few variations on the boots I'd recommend for this season. Okay, it's going to take inspiration from the last schoolboy boot we just showed you and we've covered before, but it's going to be a little bit of a variation, a bit smarter, and the main thing is going to go for this thick rubber sole. Right, it's going to give you a little bit of extra height, it's going to be more comfortable, sturdier, it's going to keep the water out more in the winter, and plus it looks really cool. So let's go and see what we can find, and we're going to give you a variation of the best buys in the Westfield and thus in London right now. Okay guys, so the first boot we're going to have a quick look at, right, is the classic Timberland / Caterpillar boot. These are as much a point of reference as something we're going to recommend, right? They are actually really in, but they're quite hard to match up with normal smart clothes as they're very clumpy and big, look a bit too big with skinny jeans. A lot of real fashionista people love wearing these with skinny jeans. They're very cool, but really what we're showing you is this thick rubber sole, which every style of boot we're going to cover today is kind of copying. And we're going to show you sort of a more low-key version, which will work with your more day-to-day clothes, which you can get right now, right here in London. So that's the Caterpillar Classic boot and the Timberland Classic boot. That's the classic colour, but they're really variations on the same thing, and they retail at 150 for the Timberland and 100 for the Caterpillar. That's cooler. Timberland's always a cooler brand, but they're not so much this. You can see just quickly here, we've got a couple of variations on the Timberland. These are like a bit more new age, they're quite hip-hoppy, and they're also cool. They retail at 75 and 95 for the two black versions. They're quite cool as well, however not my favourites, but definitely something you could check out. Cool. Okay gents, so Secret Stylist, it'll be very quick as usual. So here we are, as you can see, these boots are like the evolution of the last Timberland we showed you. They're less clumpy, they haven't got as much of that 80s shape, it's a smarter, sleeker boot, but it maintains this really cool old school rubber white Timberland sole. That's in these two colours here, right? And these are 120 quid and they're by Timberland, but they're available from many outlets. We're in Foot Locker right now, really cool, right? There's also this other version, another kind of sort of more modern version of the classic Timberland shoe we showed you earlier, right? These retail at 100, so they're actually cheaper than the smaller one. I wonder why? Maybe because this is actually nicer, right? So there we go, the new version of the classic Timberland boot, just as I was talking about earlier. Okay guys, so we are now back in the confines of my own home, simply because we have been kicked out of far too many shops to try and finish off this particular blog post in the typical Secret Stylist mode in the shop itself. So we've been forced to buy the remaining boots we want to cover in this video. Alright, so I already showed you a couple of variations of the Timberland Classic boot with the thicker sole. Then we went on to the beige and brown Timberland boot with the thinner sole in a much sort of slicker style. They were all really cool. It kind of showed you the evolution from the old vintage schoolboy boot we mentioned earlier onto the classic Timberland, onto the one I named the new age Timberland, right? And we decided that that was a very cool boot, but it did retail at 120, and we showed you that boot itself in a beige and a brown. So what I found is my favourite version of all of these boots is the Timberland in a plain black. Alright, okay, so that's it. It's a beautiful boot. It's got the suede finish, it's got the traditional rubber white Timberland sole, and that is the black version of the two we saw earlier, which were in Foot Locker, which also retails at a whopping 120 quid. That is my favourite boot along these lines for this winter. You can find that in Topman, Timberland, various outlets. It's really easy to get. However, that's 120 quid. It's a lot of money, I hear you cry. Especially to go out and wear it and mess up this lovely suede finish in the winter. So we had a look in the sort of high street shops we often cover. We went to Zara, H&M, Topman, and we saw a few variations, none of which were really worth blogging, simply because the best one, the one which blew them all out of the water, was quite simply the River Island version. As you can see, they're extremely similar. Funnily enough, this isn't one I bought earlier, it's one I bought much earlier, because this is my own shoe. So we're just actually showing you my shoe, guys. This is the River Island version. As you can see, it's totally copied the whole style. It's got the Timberland sole, the same kind of sleek shape instead of the wider round-toed Timberland. And this is the River Island version, and it retails at 60 quid. However, if you're quick, it's in the sales right now for 40 quid. I mean, this is 40, that's 120. You do the maths. I'm going with this one all the way. So today, let's wrap this post up. This is the boot for this winter of this style. And that is the River Island rubber-soled smart boot. That's it, guys. Go and get it. Okay, gents, so here we are. We are out shopping once again. And today we are going to be... No, motherfucker. Hey.
Hey. How's it going, guys? Hey.